بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Today, inshallah, we're going to talk about one of the greatest personality in the Islamic nation. We're going to talk about a man, when his name is mentioned, justice is mentioned. So what do you think? We're going to read this man. When you mention his name, you remember justice. Who is the guy? Farouq Umar bin Khattab. Yes, he's Umar ibn Khattab. Umar ibn Khattab will try in these minutes to shed some light on his life, his personality, and what we can learn, especially in this kind of societies. Umar ibn Khattab, you know, was the Khalifa of the Muslims after Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he took over after the death of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the year 11th from Al-Hijrah. Then Abu Bakr stayed 2 years as Khalifa for the Muslims. Then Umar, he took over in the 13 years of Al-Hijrah, and he was a Khalifa for how many years? 10 years. In these 10 years, he established the Muslim state. He set up laws, and it's very amazing to know that the social security law, children benefit, women rights was established, set by Umar ibn Khattab a long time ago, before anybody in the world know this one. Umar ibn Khattab, he grew up as a strong man. In the age between 10 and 20, he loved wrestling, and he was a great wrestler. And he was representing Quraysh. If anybody would like to challenge Quraysh in wrestling, he said, Umar, go and beat him. He also was the ambassador of Quraysh. You know, when you say Quraysh, this is the tribe of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If there is any negotiation with other tribes in terms of treaties, peace, or war, they send Umar ibn Khattab. This is all before Islam. Umar ibn Khattab was the worst enemies to Islam. Worst one at all. He hated Islam. And in the year 6 of the revelation of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he decided to do something very critical. He decided to kill the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He said, this man, he came, he divided our community. I'd like to give the community peace of mind. I'm going to go and kill him. Even if his tribe killed me, I don't care. He carried his sword, and he was heading towards the house of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to kill him. In the way, a man met him and told him, where are you going, Umar? He said, I'm going to kill Muhammad. When you say Muhammad, what you say? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then he said, go first and check the house of your sister. She became converted to Islam. He went to his sister, found her reading a scroll, has some verses from Al-Quran. He slapped her, her face. She fell down. Her face was full of blood. Then his heart started to soften. And he said, give me this scroll. What are you reading? What is this Quran? And then she said, no, you are najis, you are a disbeliever. You cannot touch Al-Quran, Al-Kareem. You need to go and make ghusl first, have a shower. So Umar al-Khattab went, had a shower, he came back, he read some verses from Surah Taha. His heart softened. And he said, where is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? I want to declare Islam. I want to be a Muslim. Here, this is an important point. People in Mecca used to say, if Omar's donkey converted to Islam, Umar ibn al-Khattab would have to convert to Islam. So, people in Mecca, they think there is no hope in Umar ibn al-Khattab to become a Muslim. But he became a Muslim. And he became one of the leaders of Muslim nation. So the point here, you never ever give up calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even your friend, even the man, even the girl, even whatever in front of you is very stubborn You do this when you are. Understand? Even if the man ahead of you is very stubborn, or your girl or your friend is very stubborn, don't give up. Why? Because the hearts are in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He changes it as He likes. And you need to know that guidance is two types. Al-Hidayah, two types. One type is to show the servant the straight path. Like tell him, this is the deen, this is La ilaha illallah. You guided him. The second one is only in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah guided his heart to follow the straight path. The second one only in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody can control it. Even the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he cannot control it. His uncle, Abu Talib, he died as a disbeliever. He cannot guide him. He guided him the first guidance. He told him, say La ilaha illallah. But the second guidance only comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first point, never give up. Umar ibn Khattab, when he declared Islam in front of the Prophet and the Muslims, they start to make takbir, Allahu Akbar. Very loud. Even every person in Mecca, they heard this takbir. Because this was a great victory for Muslims. And then Umar, he told the Prophet, O Prophet of Allah, aren't we on the straight path? He said, yes. Are these guys on the falsehood? He said, yes. He said, why not we gather, come out, and go and pray beside Al-Kaaba? Then Umar ibn Khattab, he and Hamza, we call him the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, Asadullah, the lion of Allah, used to hunt lions in the desert. He was so strong, man. Very strong. So they made two lions, the Muslims, one led by Hamza and one led by Umar ibn Khattab. They went outside and they performed prayer beside the Kaaba. Nobody was able to interfere with them. Here the Prophet ﷺ, he called him Al-Farouq. Al-Farouq is the distinguisher between the falsehood and between the truth. That's why we said Al-Farouq Umar ibn Khattab. What's the point here? There is a learning point here. The believer has to be a strong believer. He's certain that he's on the straight path. He has to be proud of his Islamic identity. She has to be proud of her hijab. She has to be proud of her modest clothing. He has to be proud of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Regardless what the other is going to say. They're going to maybe laugh at you when you put on hijab. They're going to laugh at you when you perform prayers, when you have a beard. You don't care about them. You only care about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Muslim has to keep his Islamic identity and has to be proud of being a Muslim, proud of being one of the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's a very important point. Yes, we live in non-Muslim society. We have been commanded to live in this society in peace, as long as they are not fighting us. But we never completely dissolve in the non-Muslim society, adopt their concepts, adopt their ideas, especially if these ideas conflict with Islam, like the concept of feminism. This is against Islam. What's the meaning of feminism? The woman would like to become a man. Very simple. This is a feminism. A woman would like to behave as a man. If you come to Islam, Islam said, no, Allah created man and created a woman. Everyone, they are different. And everyone has a task and has a job. They are the same in terms of rewards, in terms of good deed, in terms of prayers, fasting, in terms of this stuff, with few excuses for the woman. But they are the same in front of Allah. But they are physically different. When a man marries a woman, they complete each other's. They don't compete with each other's. You have to complete. They are woman. The Islam looks at the marriage as a boat. This boat has a wife and husband. This boat has to float. If they start to think and adopt about other concepts like strong, independent woman, like feminism, this boat gonna sink. And the society and the family will be distracted, and the society will be distracted. It's very important. So you need to be proud of your Muslim identity, and don't adopt any concepts conflict with the deen of al-Islam. Any concept is wrong unless it is approved by the Islamic religion, approved by Islam. That's another point. One day, one of the companions asked Umar bin Khattab, and he told him, before Islam, people, they used to make a statue out of dates and worship this statue. And if they are hungry, they eat it. And they come back and make another statue and worship it. So the man, he asked Umar, didn't you have a mind? How you do this? Yes. How guys you were thinking? You don't have any mind? He said, yes, we had a mind, but we didn't have a guidance. Guidance comes from the revelation, al-wahy. This is the guidance. In Islam, the mind never conflicts with guidance, with revelation. But if the servant used only his mind away from the light of the revelation, he will went astray, go astray. It's why you find some in the field of science, and I'm a scientist. In the field of science, you find big names, big inventions. At the end of the day, he's worshiping rat. He's worshiping Buddha or statue. Does it have a mind? He has a mind, but there is no guidance. So the point here, we use our mind, but we as Muslims, we put it within the frame of the revelation. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Wallahu ya'lamu wa antum la ta'lamun. Allah knows and you don't know. And here we need to remember the story of Nuh alayhi salam. When the water was everywhere. And Nuh alayhi salam and the believers, they are there in the boat. He told his son, oh my son, come, join us. He said, no, I'm gonna climb the mountain, and the mountain gonna protect me from the water. So here's the son of Nuh. He used his logic. Yes, it makes sense. When you climb a mountain, you're gonna be protected from water. But the Nuh, he believed in the revelation. He told him, La asima al-yawma min amri. Nobody gonna protect you today except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the waves were so high, and he died, his son died. So another point, we in Islam, we don't ask you to put your mind beside the shoe rack, as there in other religions. No, bring your mind with you, because our deen makes sense. Our deen, Quran said, ask if you don't know. We have answers for all of your questions. If you don't know, ask those who knows. Umar bin Khattab, when he was Khalifa for the Muslims, he ruled with strength, justice, and mercy. After the war with the Persians, Al-Furs, the Muslims, they captured one of their leaders, his name Al-Hurmuzan. And he stand in front of Umar ibn Khattab, and Umar ibn Khattab, he said, you killed a large number of Muslims, you have to be killed. Al-Hurmuzan, he said, I need a cup of water before you kill me, guys. He said, okay, give him water. Then he hold the water, and he said, oh Umar, I'm afraid you're going to kill me before I drink this water. Give me a promise not to kill me till I drink this water. Then Umar ibn Khattab, he said, you have my word, I'm not going to kill you till you drink this water. Then Al-Hurmuzan, he dropped the water. Ibn Umar, he got angry. He told them, what are you doing? He said, you gave me a promise, and you Muslims, you keep your promise. I'm not going to drink the water. So the companion, they said, oh Umar, you need to fulfill your promise. And Umar ibn Khattab said, okay, I'm not going to kill you. Then the man, he declared Shahada. He said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu Muhammad. He converted to Islam. Why? Because of the good manners of Umar ibn Khattab, good manners of the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, who advised Umar to keep his promise and not to kill this man. Here is a point we need to learn. The best way to call for Allah is the good morals, good manners. The best way to call for Allah is to have a good manners. If you have friends, non-Muslims, there is no problem to have non-Muslim friends, but you need to have a boundary. You need to have a boundaries between you and them. You need to have a boundaries between you and the non-Muslims. You don't go and participate with them in parties or in gatherings or some stuff that's haram. No. You need to have a boundary between you and the Muslim. But if you are one of them, they are mixing males and females, give me high five. Males and give me high five. Allahu Akbar, you don't go and perform prayers. You are lying, you are lying, you are cheating, you are cheating, you are dressed like them, you are talking like them, you are completely like them, you are one of among them. You lost your Muslim identity. You are not different anymore. So you need to keep your Islam. And your manners has to be a good manners. So these good manners is the best way to call for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, we said last time in Indonesia and in Malaysia there was no war to spread Islam. Islam was spread only by good manners of the traders in this place. Good manners, very important. Umar ibn Khattab, subhanallah, yani, we cannot talk about him in one lecture or even in 10 lectures. He set up some laws. He laid down the foundation of the Islamic State. He made a financial system for the first time in the Islamic nation. He made information system, recording of the wealth or treasury of the Muslims. We call it Baytul Mal, the treasury of the Muslims. What's in, what's out. What kind of spendings we have. For the first time, he has records for the soldiers, their vacation, their salaries. He's the first one to set up the social security all over the world. One day he was walking in the market and he found old Jewish man begging in the street. And he told him, "What are you doing?" He said, "I am begging. I cannot work, I don't have money, and I have kids." So Umar bin Khattab, he set a law to give monthly payment for every Muslim or non-Muslim unable to work for the rest of his life. First time, social security. Umar ibn Khattab, he set up a law for child benefit. Every child born in the Islamic nation, he gets a monthly salary. Very much like what we do here, what we have here in Canada. But this is not the guys who invented this. This was invented more than 1400 years ago. Umar ibn Khattab, he created the Islamic calendar. Anybody knows what's the Islamic calendar? What's the Islamic calendar? Muharram, Safar, this is the months. But what is the Islamic calendar means? Based on the moon, yes, it's lunar, based on the moon. So we have 12 months. Every month we look at the moon. Yes, we have the moons with the new months. But what's the main character for the Islamic calendar? It's dated from the day of the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? So when you say January, February, March, all these years dated from the time of the birth of Jesus. Right? You know that, guys. But in our Islamic calendar, it's dated from where? The day of the migration of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Mecca to Al-Madinah. So we say today we are in the month of Safar, 1447 after Hijrah. So 1447 years passed after the first day of the migration of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it has 12 months. Who created this Islamic calendar? Umar ibn Khattab created this Islamic calendar. He also set up a law for women rights. When he was giving speech on Friday prayer, and he wanted to define the dowry, al-mahr, al-sadaq, You know, when the wife and the husband get married, the husband has to pay money. This money, Umar bin Khattab, he stand up and he said, I'm going to make it constant. And the woman stood up and said, oh, Umar, this is not correct. And Umar bin Khattab, he said, you are right. Umar is mistaken and this woman is correct. So we set up a law for woman right. Woman can say whatever she likes to say. Anybody can say whatever he likes to say. Unlike nowadays, what we can see in the Muslim societies, if you oppose the ruler, they're going to put you in jails. The message of today is simply, it's kind of invitation for you guys to know your history. The enemies of Islam, they studied our Islamic history very well. They know it very well. But they spend a lot of money. So you guys, because you are the future, you be ignorant about your history. Do you know that 500 years ago, the Islamic Libyan Marines, they beat the United States Marine and they captured their soldiers? You know that? 500 years ago. And the United States, they used to pay money, jizya, for the Islamic nation so they can sail in their territorial areas, territorial seas. You need to know your history. The enemies of Allah want to plant you frustration and despair and weakness inside you. And this is, you need to oppose this. You need to know more about your history. Read more about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We cannot give you everything in lectures. Or listen even about Abu Bakr, about Umar bin Khattab, Al-Khulafa al-Rashideen. Listen about the mothers of the believers. They are your role model. Listen about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Know about your history. So you will understand where you came from and what you can do. Jazakumullah khair. We'll stop here.